Good morning, dear students. How are you? Today we are going to complete our events for our story for this year, The Prisoner of Zenda. We are going to deal with the chapters 4, 5, and 6. We have stopped that Rodolph Rassendyll and Rodolph V had met each other, and they had realized that they looked exactly like each other. And they spent the night together having dinner, and in this night Joseph had brought a bottle of wine to the king, which was sent to him by his brother Duke Michael. In this bottle of wine, Duke Michael had put a drug for the king, a medicine to make him fall asleep for a very long time, because in the morning it was the coronation morning, to prevent him from going to attend his coronation. Colonel Sapt woke up Rassendyll with a bucket of water, and the king couldn't get up at the bottle of wine he had drunk was drugged. In the morning, Sapt couldn't wake up the king. He had realized what Duke Michael had done, and he had to throw water over the face of Rassendyll to wake him up. Now there is a very big problem they can't solve: who is going to attend the coronation. People won't accept to hear any reasons or apologizes for not attending or delaying the coronation. They won't like to have a careless king like this one. Fritz suggested telling the people that the king is ill, but Sapt didn't like the idea, because if the king isn't crowned today, he will never be crowned. This is not the first time that he has been ill, and they all know what it means. The king has drunk a lot, and the people will be angry. All the people knew that the king likes to drink wine a lot, so they can't tell them that he is ill. They will understand the real reason. Black Michael had drugged the king and thought that people would be angry because he won't be able to attend the coronation, and make him king instead. Black Michael, as we have said before, will do anything to be the king. He found it a good chance for him to take the place of Rodolph V. If he didn't attend the coronation, the people will be angry from him, and a lot of people likes Michael because he was with them all the time, near them all the time, so they will ask to make him, or they will ask to make him the king. They will put him on the throne. Sapt and Fritz wanted Rassendyll to pretend to be the king and be crowned in his place, while the real king stayed out of sight until the coronation would be over. Now Sapt and Fritz decided to find any way to keep the throne for the king. Sapt will use the similarity between the king and Rassendyll to make Rassendyll in the king's place till he wake up. And he will ask Rassendyll to shave his beard and mustache and to take the place of the king, to pretend to be the king. Rassendyll will be afraid. If anyone noted that this person is not the king, they will kill all those who had done this trick, but they have no other choices. Sapt and Fritz wanted Rassendyll to pretend to be the king, to take the place of the king and be crowned in his place. He will go to attend the coronation instead of him, while the real king stayed out of sight. They will keep him in the hunting lodge. They will hide him in the hunting lodge until the coronation would be over. Colonel Sapt said to Rassendyll, "It's a risk. It's something very dangerous to do, but what is the alternative?" They had No, they have no other choices. Rasandal agreed to take the place of the king and shaved off his beard and mustache. Rasandal agreed. He knew it's something very dangerous, but he considered it an adventure and a good experience for him to be a king, to take the place of the king. Rasandal knew that it was dangerous, but he didn't want Black Michael to take the king's place. It would be an exciting adventure. And also, he wanted to save the throne for the king. So, he will take his place in the coronation. They hid the real king in the wine cellar and traveled to Streltser to attend the coronation. They had kept Joseph with the king till they returned back to take care of him and to tell him what had happened if he wakes up. Joanne's mother had seen and heard them while keeping the king in the wine cellar. Colonel Saab told Rasandal as much as he could about the king's life and the etiquette in the Mauritanian palace. Saab told Rasandal as much as he can how to act in the coronation, what to do in the coronation. And here we can see him while he was explaining for him how to behave. When they arrived to Streltser, no one realized that Rasandal is not the real king, even the marshal, the head of the army. No one was able to know that this person is not the king. All the people were cheering for him as if he is the real king. While Rasandal at the king was on his way to the palace to attend the coronation, he passed through the two parts of Streltser. He was going on his way from the train station to the palace of Streltser to attend this great ceremony they are doing. He will pass through two parts in the capital Streltser. It was divided into two parts, an outer part and inner part. Those two parts were completely different. Sabt explained to Rasandal that the outer part of the city was new and all the rich people lived in, and they supported the king Rodolph V, and they welcomed the king with red flags and roses. He explained to him that the outer part, in the new part, all the rich people were living there. Those people loved the royal family and they were supporting the king Rodolph V all the time. They cheered a lot and used to wave for him using red roses to express for him their love. And the inner part of the city was old and all the poor people lived in, and they supported Black Michael. The inner city was completely different from the outer city. It was an old part full of poor people. They are not interested in the king. They like Black Michael more because he was near to them. When he was going inside this part, the guards tried to surround the king, but he ordered them to stay away. He decided to go inside this part without any guards to let the people feel that he is near them. He loves them. Rasandal and the king ordered the guards to stay away from him while entering the inner part. Here you can see him waving for the people, and it's obvious that it's the outer part from the red flags they are putting for him. They reached the cathedral and he met Black Michael, who was surprised when he saw Rasandal as the king. Black Michael was sure that he wouldn't be able to come. He had dragged for him the bottle of wine. He was shocked when he found him entering the ceremony. Also, Princess Flavia couldn't realize that Rasandal wasn't the king, but note that he was different in his attitude, that he was more serious. Also, his cousin Princess Flavia didn't realize that this person is not the king, but she noted that he was behaving in a very different way than usual. He was more serious. She said to him, "You look different today." Princess Flavia warned the king from Black Michael. She knew that he hoped to be the king instead of Rodolphe. Rassendyll liked Flavia a lot and thought that she is very beautiful. After they had finished the ceremony, the king went to his room, and at night, Sapt and Rassendyll decided to go back to Zenda to bring the real king to his place. At night, Sapt and Rassendyll went to get the real king from Zenda and left Fritz in the king's room to prevent anyone from entering the room. While Sapt and Rassendyll were on their way to the hunting lodge, they heard two people galloping behind them. On their way, they have heard the sound of horses. When they looked to see who is going in the same way, they had realized that Duke Michael and Max Hof, Juan's brother, are going to Zenda. They were Max Hof, Juan's brother, and Black Michael. They were going to the castle of Zenda. When Sapt and Rassendyll reached the hunting lodge, they didn't find anyone in the cellar and found the handkerchiefs they used to tie up the old woman were torn and had blood on it. When they reached the hunting lodge, they went immediately to the wine cellar where they had hid the king, but they didn't find anyone, and they had found the handkerchiefs they used to tie the lady thrown on the floor and full of blood. They felt very afraid. Where is the king and what had happened? There was a body of a man thrown on the floor. It was the servant Joseph, whom they had left to take care of the king. His throat was cut. He had been killed while trying to save the king. The king wasn't there, Juan's mother wasn't there, and Joseph was killed. Sapt was shocked and fainted when he didn't find the king and said, "They have got the king." Sapt realized what had happened. He now knew that Duke Michael had kidnapped the king and kept at the castle of Zenda. That's why he's going there. Rassendyll wanted to order the army to chase Black Michael and rescue the king. Rassendyll immediately has got the idea to call the army to save the king from Duke Michael's hands. But Sapt had another opinion. He wanted Rassendyll to keep pretending to be the king, as they had frightened him. Okay? They had frightened Black Michael when they solved the problem of who is going to attend the coronation. Sapt wanted Rassendyll to complete pretending to be the king till they find a way or a chance to save the king, Rodolphe V, from Duke Michael's hands. Sapt explained to Rassendyll that they couldn't tell the people about the trick they had played. They would kill them, and also the people won't accept a king who was too drunk to be crowned, a careless king. The people won't accept this at all, and send somebody instead of him. The people would rebel against Rodolphe V, would refuse him as a king, and will ask for Duke Michael to be king instead of him. Sapt convinced Rassendyll to keep pretending to be the king, and he was sure that Black Michael and who helped him couldn't tell the people anything, because by this they would admit their crime, that they had kidnapped the king and murdered his servant. They would keep quiet. Sapt was sure that Duke Michael will never say anything, would never say anything So they are going to keep Rasandal in the place of the king till they get the real king back. Rasandal agreed on Sabt's opinion and would complete pretending to be the king until they could rescue the real king and place him on his throne. A group of men came to the hunting lodge. While they are in the hunting lodge, didn't leave, they had heard the sound of a group of men coming. Those men were coming to bury the body of Joseph, the servant whom they had killed. A group of men came to the hunting lodge to bury Joseph's body so that nobody would know that he had been killed. Go and get the body and bring it out here. Colonel Sabt and Rasandal had a fight with Duke Michael's men. They killed 3 of them, and Rasandal's finger had been hurt. They were able to kill 3 of these men. Sabt and Rasandal returned back to the palace in his Chelsea and told Fritz what had happened, and he was very worried about the real king. He felt very worried and angry from what Duke Michael had done. Here you can see the fight between Rasandal and one of Duke Michael's men. By this we have finished the events of this 3 chapters. As usual, please read the chapters in details from your own book.